Welcome to video 3, Disbursements Part 2. As a note, when you do the default disbursements through utilities, cash flow, bookkeeper and option fee or deposit payment, because they're default and you want them all to go to one account or a couple of separate accounts depending on how you'd like to work it, the statement reference is really important. If you notice the statement reference here, no matter where the disbursement goes, that will turn up in your statement, your bank statement. So then it's really easy to reconciliate. So your bookkeeper can log in and print out the statement at a click of a button, and then can reconciliate each individual account, or if it's all going into one account, they will then be able to itemize the entries so they know where it's going to. So then you can get an exact amount owed or in credit for each individual property for each individual disbursement. So that's just a point to remember. Okay, so now we need to look at entering these. You've given you the overview. We need to create these. Once you've created these default items as per the instruction sheet, you can make them available to all properties. So you only have to make them once or enter them once. Whereas the specific items, so when you come to add disbursements to the property, you can do it really, really quickly because your default one's already set up. When you actually create the disbursement, all you're doing is putting a reference in there, because if you go and put utilities in there, there will be nothing come up in this reference box. You'll see why in a minute. But you can then make it specific, so you can have one entry, but each time you enter it into each individual property, you can put a statement reference in there so you know off the bank statement where it's come from. And that way you can make it specific, but therefore only having one entry. The reason we do the address with mortgage 1 or 2 or 3, if you've got 3 mortgage payments as individuals, and the option fee is so it is specific, and it's kept specific by the different disbursement. So if we go into disbursements, right click, we end up with this box. It does, of course, it has nothing in it. If I press search, it'll bring up all the individual disbursements that are actually entered in this demo version. And if I wanted to sort them, you can see that there's the option fee that I've set up. So if we go back and we press or click disbursements, it then takes us to add a disbursement. So this is what you'll first see when you first use the program. Once you get a new property, all you're doing is going to disbursements, add a new disbursement, which will then open in a new window. And we'll get this. So that adding a disbursement, we need to set this up. So this disbursement doesn't exist until you physically put it in here. And that's why the instruction sheet is so important, because it gives you all the information that you need to put into these fields. If we go into 200 Queen Street option fee, for instance, we're using the instruction sheet and we've got 200 Queen Street and we're putting in option fee, so I'm making it specific. So I copied it into the business name as well. Because it's specific to one property, I don't need to put the address in anymore. I just need an email address. If you want the notification, and if you tick this, if you can notice, we'll just go down, as you go down the list, the email address, and then the bank details, you can see that I can check that account, which we'll go through in a second. But you've noticed if they relate to what we put in the option fee, and you can see that I've related it to the information I put in there. So this can't be the real BSP or real account number, but you can see how it actually works, because just like the pay, you put it in. You want it to a bank account, You can check that. Of course, it won't come up with anything because that's not the correct BSB. But when you put the actual BSB in, you can check where it is and it gives you the branch. So you know it's correct. The account number, put it in backwards. My Properties is the person who's, because it's an option fee. Okay, it's My Properties getting the option fee in this particular case. You want to make it active, and if you don't click that, that email address will not get notification that this particular property from this account gets an email. If you tick that and you want it to come to you, so that the option fee, you know that the option fee's actually been sent, then you will get an email notification. You can set it up for a single payer because it's an option fee and it's related, and that can be a deposit payment as well. So you can change that to deposit payment. 200 Queen Street deposit payment. I can make it specific to one property, but when you do that, you must put in the the number of the actual payer. In other words, that particular person. So if we go back to payers, there's my number. I must have that number in there. So I'm in payers, click payers, and then this list will come up automatically. Search the list, then it comes to 200 Queen Street, Australia. It's related to 178686. So I have to go back into it, 178686, press look up payer, and it comes up with this information here so that I know it's correct. You can then put in, because it's specific, you can then put in 200 Queen option fee, because that's all you can fit in. It's only 16 characters in this field only. The rest of them, as I mentioned before, are quite good. So then you can save the information. That is a disbursement. Do the same thing for utilities. Just put utilities there, utilities here, where it's going to. If, in other words, take it straight off your sheet and you say, okay, the default, this is of course going to be a default setting for every property. So you only have to enter utilities once because it's not specific in the entry. So therefore, I know that this particular utilities or this particular cash flow account example, cash flow is to my business account, the one you put on the application form. So you can put in the BSB and the account number as a static account. That means whenever you pick cash flow, it is going to the business account, and therefore I don't want notification of that. I'll untick that, because then everyone that comes in there, I can see that in this case then it would be, you would make sure that that was empty. So, and I want it available to all properties, in other words all payers. You see how that disappears? And then I don't want anything in there, because what happens if I do that and I save that information, and let's go into that. I'm going to bring up all my disbursements and I'm going to search my disbursements, and I'm going to go to cash flow, and I'm going to go into cash flow. And you see, once I've set up those disbursements, you can see that my cash flow, I've got these set up as receiving the balance. They're disbursements related to this cash flow account. So they're the ones that are receiving that amount of money. So let's go back and do that again. Disbursements, list all my disbursements that I've set up. I would like to sort them. I go into cash flow. I then see that I have edit details and any communication related to it, any transactions, any communications, any auditing. So if I go into edit details, I can see there that I've set it up to all payers, and there's my list of profiles that are getting that money is sent from these properties to this account. So then what happens is that when I go into that particular property, example, if I wanted to go into 200 Queen Street, Australia, if I go into Queen Street, Australia, it takes me directly to the setup of that property. So you can see there's a lot of shortcuts that are actually related to the same window, just like Windows. Therefore, I can edit the details. and you can see the bank account is active, and you can see that all the different things that you can do to it. So let's go to edit disbursements, which is where we needed to go, and that is how you find edit disbursements. So you can see that I'm in payer. I'm in the individual payer, this payer here. So if I wanted to find that again, don't forget, ever get lost, go to payer, comes up, search, I want to go to this particular one, and then I'm back at that screen. Then I go into edit details. Edit details, edit payments, that's for the payer, but I want to edit disbursements. So if you notice down here the reference, because it's in the list, it won't be there. But if I actually remove that utilities, and now I enter it again, it's $75, and you notice nothing comes up in the statement reference, because then under utilities I have it blank, because then I can make that utilities specific to this address. So there's another way to do it by having one entry, 200 Queen Street, and then I can add it. You see how that goes to the list, and then I can edit that if I need to, but it is then correct. So that's how easy it is to actually create a new disbursement. So that's why you must use your disbursement sheet, go off what you've set up. It is so easy once you've done that. You actually take all the work out of it by doing this. It's a must. Do it first and everything will fall into place. So if we go back over that just quickly, disbursements. I'm setting up a new one from day one. I've got my list. I'm setting up any one of these that I've decided to use. I go straight into it, and all I'm going to do is add mortgage one, because I've already got utilities set up, I've already got cash flow set up, I've already got bookies set up, I've already got option fee set up, I've already got deposit payment set up to the relevant account number. And that way it is so quickly to add that one mortgage payment or the two mortgage payments if you've got two entries, and you put the details in there like you have then, and then once that's set up, it's always there. And I make that specific to that payer, and I want to know that that particular, and when you put the email address in there, that particular mortgage payment has gone. So rely on the notes, follow the instruction sheet, and remember, use the navigation bar and you can't go wrong. See you in the next video.